Good morning. We have derived the expression for electric field and the magnetic field using the electromagnetic field vectors A and B. In today's lecture, we will derive the electromagnetic field for a uniformly moving charge. I hope you understand the meaning of uniformly moving charge. A charge which is moving with a constant velocity is called uniformly moving charged particle. So if for a uniformly moving charged particle, the velocity is constant and therefore the acceleration of the particle will be equal to 0. So we will derive now in today's lecture, we will convert the electric field and the magnetic field vector expressions in terms of the present position, because what the expression that we have with us, they are in terms of basically the retarded position. So here E, you remember the formula, E was equal to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon 0. E is a vector, QR upon R dot U whole cube, and then U into C square minus B square plus R cross U cross A. Here U is equal to C into R minus B. So we wrote the expression for the magnetic field also. Magnetic field B is equal to R cross E upon C. So that is how we derived the expression for the electric field and the magnetic field. What you have to remember here, that this R is the retarded position of the charged particle. So all the terms here, the first term is called the Coulomb term or the velocity term, and the second term is called acceleration term or the radiation term. We have already discussed basically the physical significance of these two terms. So here our today's task is to convert the electric field and the magnetic field expression in terms of the present position of the particle. So we take a simple case that we assume that a charged particle is moving uniformly. So uniformly means velocity is constant. So acceleration is 0. So basically we simplify the whole thing. So we are left with basically the first term only, that is the Coulomb term here. If you look at the figure, we have a charged particle. Q is a charge that is moving with a velocity, a constant velocity B in this direction. P is the point of observation and A dash is the retarded position. The position coordinate of the point of observation from the retarded position of the point charge is R dash vector now, and when this signal reaches the point P, in the meantime the charge reaches to A. So that is why I have written this as the present position of the charge, and the position coordinate of the point of observation with reference to the present position of the particle is R. So be careful, whatever we wrote previously as R is now R dash, and we have to express these expressions in terms of the vector R, that is the present position. So our task is to write down those expressions from retarded position vector to basically the present position vector from R dash to R. Theta dash is the angle made by the position coordinate of the point of observation from the retarded position with the velocity, and theta is the angle between this line and the present position of the charged particle. So if you look at the expressions, because we have taken the uniform velocity, so now E, I have replaced R by R dash. So you can see that E is now equal to Q upon 4 pi epsilon 0, C square minus B square upon R dash dot U dash whole cube, and then R dash into U dash. And similarly, the magnetic field B becomes 1 upon C R dash cross E, and that E is given by this expression here. The value of U dash now becomes equal to C into R dash upon R minus B. R dash is the retarded position. So now we will make use of some geometry to find out, to convert it in terms of R, and then we will try to understand that what are the expressions in terms of the present position of the charged particle. So the signal this is the retarded position. So when the signal starts from A dash, the position coordinate of point of observation is R dash. The velocity of the signal is the velocity of light C. So the time taken by the signal is starting from the retarded position to reach the point P is R dash upon C. So time taken by the electromagnetic signal from A dash to P is R dash divided by C. So here, if the time of observation is T, so here this will correspond to T minus R dash over C. So in the time R dash over C, the charge particle will move from A dash to A. So when it moves from A dash to A, this is nothing but the distance traversed by the charge particle in the time T, which is equal to R dash upon C. So time taken by the electromagnetic signal to reach the point P from the retarded position is A dash is R dash upon C, and in the meantime A dash reaches to A. So we can write down the vector A dash A to be equal to the velocity vector into the time, velocity into time, so R dash upon C. So our vector A dash A is now equal to here, this vector, you see, this vector A dash A is now equal to the velocity vector V multiplied by the time taken by electromagnetic signal is starting from the retarded position to reach the point of observation. So this becomes now equal to B into R dash upon C. Next, we will make use of the vector addition theorem or law of triangular forces, that A dash A vector plus vector A and P is equal to vector A dash P. A dash P is a vector A dash P here is a R dash. So vector R dash will be equal to vector R plus vector B multiplied by R dash over C. So this is one equation that we will be using. Similarly, in trigonometry, you have studied that in a triangle ABC, sine A upon A is equal to sine B upon B is equal to sine C upon C. Capital ABC are normally the angles and ABC are the corresponding sides. So here, the sine of this angle theta, sine theta dash divided by the corresponding side R will be equal to sine of pi minus theta divided by the corresponding side R dash. So I will write down the other equation, that will be our equation number 2. It will be equal to sine of theta dash upon R is equal to sine of pi minus theta divided by R dash. So I will write down these two equations here by making use of this simple vector calculus. So R is equal to vector R dash is equal to vector R plus velocity vector into R dash upon C. Be careful with the magnitude of R dash and the vector R dash. So therefore, if you transfer this onto this side, so R vector becomes equal to now R dash vector minus the velocity vector multiplied by R dash over C, and other sine theta dash upon R is equal to sine of pi minus theta upon R dash. Sine of pi minus theta is sine of theta. So we can multiply, cross multiply. So R dash into sine theta dash becomes equal to R sine theta. So we will call them as equation number 1 and equation number 2. Now I have multiplied equation number 2 both sides by B upon C. So it becomes a B upon C into R sine theta to be equal to B upon C into R dash into sine of theta dash. Now I will take the square of equation number 1 both sides. So you already know that if we want to find out the square of a vector is nothing but the dot product of the vector with the same vector. So R dot R, I have written the same thing here. So taking the square of equation number 1 means taking the dot product of R with R. So that is R dot R. So that will be equal to R square, because if you expand A dot B, it is mod of A into mod of B into the cosine of the angle between the two. Since we are using the same vector, so the angle between them will be equal to 0 degree. So R mod of R into mod of R becomes R square, and cos of 0 is 1. So we have R square. Here now coming on to the right hand side, we have basically the combination of two vectors. So R dash minus B into R dash upon C dotted with are taking the dot product with the same vector. So here in this case, we are coming across four terms because two terms are here and two terms are here. So we will start with the first term. So R dash dot R dash will give us again R dash square. R similarly this minus V into R dash upon C dotted with minus V into R dash upon C. So R dash upon C and R dash upon C becomes R dash square upon C square, and again B vector dot B vector is equal to B square. So that is the second term. Now we will have two more terms. The first term taking the dot product of the first term here and the second term of this bracket, and similarly the second term of this bracket with the first term of this bracket. So if you write down the R dot R dash dot B here, and then R dash by C will come. Similarly, if you take the dot product of the second term of the first bracket with the first term of the second bracket, we will have V dot R dash, and then R dash upon C will be as it is. We already know that A dot B is equal to B dot A because changing the order of the dot product does not change the value of the dot product. So if you make use of that relation A dot B is equal to B dot A, the two terms will combine together, and I have written them as twice of R dash over C and then R dash dot B or B dot R dash. So we have combined these two terms. So once you combine these two terms, so our equation number 1 square results in the equation R square to be equal to R dash square plus R dash square upon C square into B square minus 2 into R dash upon C into R dash dot B. Now we take the square of equation number 2 also after multiplying with B upon C. So if you take the square, it becomes now B square upon C square, R square sine square theta becomes equal to B square upon C square, R dash square sine square theta dash. Now we will take the difference of the two. We will subtract equation number 2 from equation number 1. So let us subtract right hand side from right hand side and left hand side from left hand side. So we have R term on the left hand side and similarly R dash on the right hand side. So R square minus V square upon C square R square sine theta. So we have taken R square out, and in the bracket we are left with 1 minus B square upon C square into sine square theta. Coming on to the right hand side, R dash square as it is, minus 2 into R dash upon C into R dash dot B as it is. But if you subtract B square upon C square, R dash square sine square theta from the second term on the right hand side of the equation number 1, you can see R dash square B square upon C square is common, and 1 minus sine square theta dash will give us cos square theta dash. So that is why I have written cos square theta dash here. The angle between R dash and the velocity is theta. So that is why if you expand this, it will give us R dash into B into cosine of the angle between R dash and B, that is theta dash. Now if you look onto the right hand side, the three terms can be combined together, and these three terms now becomes equal to R dash minus R dash into B upon C cos theta whole square. Again, you have to keep in mind that if you want to find out the square of this, R dash square is R dash square, then the square of this term R dash square upon C square into B square into cos square theta, C square is here, and similarly the twice of this, so twice of this 2 R dot R will give us r dash square. So this r dash with r dash becomes r dash square into b into cos theta. So from this equation, if you take now the square root of both the sides, so the right hand side I have written as the left hand side now. So r dash minus r dash dot b over c now becomes equal to this term. I have removed the cos theta from here. So I have written this r dash dot b, because if you expand it, it becomes r dash into b into cos theta. Similar here. So r minus r is a scalar quantity. R dash dot b is basically the dot product, and dot product is also a scalar quantity, which is it is equal to the square root of the left hand side obtained by taking the difference of equation number 1 and 2. So this becomes r into 1 minus b square upon c square sine square theta to the power of half. So we call this as equation number 3. So now we evaluate the denominator of the electric field term. So electric field term denominator is r dash dot u dash. So r dash vector dot u dash, and u dash is c into r dash vector upon r dash minus b, because normally we write it as c r cap minus b. So we pull out c from the bracket. So if you pull out c and take r dash vector inside, so r dash vector dot r dash vector becomes r dash square divided by r dash will give us r only, minus r dash dot b upon c as it is. And equation number 3, if you look at here, this equation number 3 gives us the value of this term. So that is what we are doing, that BRC, C is as it is, and the value of r dash minus r dash dot b upon c, this r dash will also be a vector. This is equal to r into 1 minus b square upon c square into sine square theta. So we can put it here, okay, and this becomes now equal to r into c into 1 minus b square upon c square sine square theta to the power of half. So this is the value of the denominator of the electric field term. Now we move on to the numerator. Numerator has r dash multiplied with u dash vector. So u dash vector, you already know, it is c into r dash upon r dash minus b multiplied by r dash. So take r dash inside, it is c into r dash minus vector b into r dash. Be careful with the vector and the mod, the modulus of the same vector. So c into r. So we again pull out c from here. So c comes out and we are left with r dash minus r dash upon c into b. And if you make use of the equation number 1, we can write it as c into r, because whatever is written inside the bracket is vector r, and we can write it as r. So if you look at the expression again, we know that now the numerator from equation number 5 and the denominator by equation number 4, we substitute them in the electric field expression. So q upon 4 pi epsilon 0 as it is, c square minus b square as it is. In place of r dash into u dash, I am writing c into r. You can see the expression once again here. This is the expression. So here you can see it is q upon epsilon 0, c square minus b square as it is. We have calculated r dash into u dash, and similarly r dash dot u dash whole cube. So we know the value of these terms, and we are putting them now in terms of the undashed quantities, and they are now equal to the value of E now equal to q upon 4 pi epsilon 0, c square minus b square, c into, this is our vector, divided by, in the denominator, we have to take the cube of this term. So cube of this term becomes a c cube into r cube into 1 minus b square upon c square sine square theta to the power of half. Half becomes 3 by 2. So we have c cube here. C cube, 1c in the numerator. So 1c cancels out with c of c cube, and the c square is left in the denominator. So we now club that c square with c square minus b square terms in the numerator. b divided by c square, and it becomes 1 minus b square upon c square, and the denominator is 1 minus b square upon c square sine square theta to the power of 3 by 2. This is the expression for the electric field. If you forget about the terms written inside the bracket, the first term q into r upon 4 pi epsilon 0 r cube resembles very well with the Coulomb's law, because you can write down r vector divided by 1 r from the denominator as r cap, and it becomes 1 upon 4 pi epsilon 0 q upon r square into r cap. R cap is nothing but the direction of the electric field. But here what we see is that we are ending with the additional terms 1 minus b square upon c square divided by 1 minus b square upon c square sine square theta to the power 3 by 2. So this is nothing but the relativistic effect. Now we move on to the B expression, the magnetic field expression. B is equal to r dash unit vector cross E divided by C. So again, we now substitute the value of E in this expression, because E is already known to us, and you can see 1 over C as it is. Now we put substitute E here. So it is Q upon 4 pi epsilon 0 C square minus B square upon R dash dot U dash whole cube, and then R dash into R dash R cap. R cap is written as vector R divided by mod or cross U dash. So here, if you look at this, the value of U is C into R dash upon R dash minus B. The cross product A cross K, A is always equal to 0. A dot A is A square, but A cross A is always equal to 0. So if you replace this U dash by C into R dash upon R minus B and take it inside, what will happen? R dash cross R dash will give us 0, and we will be left with R dash cross B, and there will be a minus sign also. Because of this minus sign, all other terms will remain as it is. We have already calculated the value of R dash dot U dash. So we have substituted here. It is C cube R cube into 1 minus B square upon C square. B square upon C square sine square theta to the power of 3 by 2. So we now know all the terms except minus R dash cross B. Here we recall A cross B is minus B cross A. A dot B is B cross A, but A cross B is minus B cross A. So here this minus sign will change the order. So I have written here B cross R dash. So B cross R dash. So now we make use of the equation number 2. If you look at the equation number 2 here, equation number 2 was obtained from sine of A upon A to be equal to sine upon B, and that gave us R dash into sine of theta dash to be equal to R into sine theta. So this equation, we now multiply both sides by B. So this becomes a B into R dash into sine theta dash to be equal to B into R into sine theta, and then we can write them as B cross R dash, because here if you expand it, mod of B cross mod of R into sine of angle between B and R dash, that is equal to theta dash. Similarly, the angle between the velocity and the present position vector R is equal to theta. So B, since B R dash into sine theta dash is equal to B into R into sine theta. So therefore we can write B cross R dash to be equal to B cross R. So we can replace this by B cross R, and our magnetic field expression also takes a proper shape in terms of basically the present position vector. B is equal to mu 0 Q upon 4 pi R cube 1 minus B square upon C square divided by 1 minus B square upon C square sine square theta to the power of 3 by 2 into B cross R. If you look at this expression also, you have basically the additional 1 minus B square upon C square divided by 1 minus B square upon C square sine square theta to the power 3 by 2. Otherwise, all other terms resembles very well with the well-known Biot-Savart's law. Electric field corresponds to the Coulomb's law, and the magnetic field term corresponds to the Biot-Savart's law, the magnetic field expression. It is basically, we can derive this by exploiting the concept of special theory of relativity also. So here, if you look at the two expressions, I have written them now together. This is what we have got, that the electric field E here is 1 upon 4 pi epsilon 0. I have written it as now Q upon R square, and this unit vector R cap multiplied by 1 minus B square upon C square upon 1 minus B square upon C square sine square theta to the power of 3 by 2. Similarly, the value of magnetic field is mu 0 Q upon 4 pi R square, and then this term into B cross now R cap. We have R cap here and R cap here also. That is why the denominator has now R square. Let us now understand different cases. First, the non-relativistic speed, and secondly, the relativistic speed. For non-relativistic speed, or for the smaller velocities, we can assume the velocity to be tending to 0, not equal to 0, because if the velocity is equal to 0, then we can't consider the electrodynamics. So we are considering a small velocity. So if the velocity is small, you can see the extra term appearing here in the numerator and denominator will drop out as in comparison to 1. So a smaller velocity means non-relativistic speed means the velocity of the particle is much smaller than the velocity of light. So we drop out B square upon C square and B square upon C square sine square theta in comparison to 1. So we are left with E to be equal to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon 0 Q upon R square into R cap. That is the well-known Coulomb's law. So we still have basically the Coulomb's law. What is appearing here is nothing but the relativistic effect, the effect of Lorentz transformation. That is an alternative way of deriving the electric field and the magnetic field expressions. So here, if you look at now the magnetic field expression, it is mu 0 upon 4 pi R square Q into V cross R cap. Q here is I into dt. You all know that if a charge Q flows in a time dt, the corresponding current is I. So we can write down Q to be equal to I into dt. Same thing I have done here. And then this V into dt corresponds to a element dl, because the distance traversed with velocity b in time dt will be equal to dl of a current carrying conductor. So I into dl cross r, that is the well-known Biot-Savart's law. This epsilon 0 should not be here. I think by mistake this epsilon 0 has come here. So it's a mu 0 upon 4 pi r square into I into dl cross r is the well-known Biot-Savart's law. So the two expressions reduces to the well-known Biot-Savart's law and the Coulomb's law, or Coulomb's law and the Biot-Savart's law for non-relativistic speeds, for smaller speeds, or for the speeds much less than the velocity of light. One more thing that you have to see here, the electric field generated by a point charge is now spherically symmetric. Spherically symmetric means if you have a charged particle at rest, you enclose it by a spherical surface of radius to be equal to r. All the points lying onto that spherical surface will give you the same electric field. That is what is meant by basically the spherical symmetry. Similarly, if you are given a wire, you enclose it by a loop and let the wire is normal to it, the plane of the circular loop passing through the origin, then we can say it also has a spherical symmetry. That means all the points lying onto that circle will give us the same magnetic field. In terms of spherical polar coordinates, we can say that there is no theta and phi dependence, then it is called spherical symmetry. So for a smaller velocity, the expressions for electric field and the magnetic field suggests that both the electric field and the magnetic field maintain the spherical symmetry. Now we switch over to, so the fields are spherically symmetric for non-relativistic velocities. Now we take the other case for relativistic velocities, means when the velocity approaches to the velocity of light, then in that case we cannot ignore basically the denominator term 1 minus b square upon c square sine square theta. So both the electric field and the magnetic field, they depends upon r and theta both. In fact, we have r dependence is also there and the theta dependence is also there. So that means now the electric field is not spherically symmetric. So basically it lacks spherical symmetry now, but magnetic field, it is stronger in perpendicular direction. You can see here that as theta increases, when if you increase the value of theta from 0 to 90, the value of sine theta also increases from 0 to 1. So as theta increases, the value of sine theta increases. Since it is 1 minus v square upon c square into sine square theta, so this term drops out and the electric field and the magnetic field both increases as a function of basically the angle. You can see from this expression that when theta will be equal to 90 degree, so when theta is equal to 90 degree, it is 1 minus b square upon c square. And if b is also equal to c, basically this term corresponding to theta is equal to 90 degree is basically 0. So 0 means both the electric field and the magnetic field becomes infinity. So just by looking at this expression, the first thing is that since we have both r and theta dependence here, we have both r and theta dependence in this expression, because in the numerator we have 1 minus b square upon c square, and in the denominator we have 1 minus b square upon c square sine square theta. So this term will be minimum corresponding to the value of theta to be equal to 90 degree. So since this term is going to be minimum for theta to be equal to 90 degree, both the electric and the magnetic field will be maximum for 90 degree and the minimum for 0 degree. Theta is equal to 0 degree or theta is equal to 180 degree. In both the cases, the value will be purely equal to 1, because sine square 0 and sine square 100 will be equal to 1. Will be equal to 0. So there is no spherical symmetry. You have to understand these results just by looking at the expressions. If you look at this here, here I have tried to plot, basically these are nothing but the line of forces. You can see that here the line of forces are closer, but as you go towards the direction of the velocity, they are becoming basically far and far. So electric field is maximum corresponding to 90 degree, and as you come towards 0 degree, the electric field reduces. So the Coulomb field is reduced by 1 minus b square upon c square. I will write down basically the equations for theta is equal to 0 and 90 degree. Okay, in the electric field expression now, we substitute the value of theta to be equal to 0. Theta is equal to 0 means electric field in the direction of movement of the charged particle. So I call it as E parallel. Same arguments will be applicable for the magnetic field as well. So theta is equal to 0 degree. This becomes 1 upon 4 pi epsilon 0 q into r upon r square. If you put theta to be equal to 0, so sine 0 is 0. So in the denominator, we had 1 minus b square upon c square. So this is the dominating factor along the parallel direction, or along theta is equal to 0. But if we write down the similar expression for theta to be equal to 90 degree, so 90 degree, if you put theta equal to 90 degree here, so it becomes 1. So that means 1 minus b square upon c square to the power of 3 by 2 is there in the denominator. And we have 1 minus b square upon c square in the numerator. So it effectively becomes 1 upon 1 minus b square upon c square to the power of half. So you can see yourself now, this Coulomb field along the direction of its velocity is reduced by 1 minus b square upon c square. However, along the perpendicular direction, it is stronger by an amount 1 minus 1 upon 1 minus b square upon c square to the power of half. Reduced because if you multiply the Coulomb field by a factor less than 1, you will end up with the electric field less than the Coulomb field. Similarly, if you divide it by 1 minus b square upon c square, then what will happen? The electric field increases. That is the purpose of writing this Coulomb's field reduced by 1 minus b square upon c square, and along the perpendicular direction, it is stronger by 1 minus b square upon c square. Suppose we write down the relationship between the perpendicular component and the parallel component of the electric field. Then this is the relation. E perpendicular is equal to E parallel divided by 1 minus b square upon c square to the power of 3 by 2. Suppose now the velocity approaches the velocity of light. If the velocity approaches the speed of light, in that case, E parallel will be equal to 0, because if b is equal to c, so 1 minus b square upon c square, that is equal to 1, will be equal to 0, while 1 upon 1 minus 1, that is equal to 0. So 1 upon 0 will be infinity. So if the velocity approaches the velocity of light c, then E parallel will tend to 0 and E perpendicular will tend to infinity. So it's a purely transverse electric and the magnetic field vector. Or we can say it is plane polarized. Plane polarized means electric field components, when the velocity approaches the velocity of light, when the velocity of the charge approaches the velocity of light, the magnetic field and the electric field points perpendicular to the direction of the velocity of the particle. So that is what is meant by purely transverse electric and the magnetic field. So fields of a fast moving charge, remember, not for a slow moving charge, this is the relativistic effect. Fields of a fast moving charge are reduced by 1 minus b square upon c square as compared to the field of a charge at rest in both the forward and the backward direction, both ahead and the back. In the perpendicular direction, it is enhanced by 1 upon under root of 1 minus b square upon c square. So you can see why the electric field and the magnetic field, because here electric field and the magnetic field, they are also perpendicular to each other. Don't get confused that they are also in the same direction. If one is in the plane of the paper, other will be perpendicular to the plane of the paper, and then you have basically the other direction for the direction of propagation. So in the direction, perpendicular direction, it is enhanced by under root of 1 minus b square upon c square. In some textbook, you will find out that they will write that it behaves like a plane wave solution, or it is peaked along the direction of propagation of the particle. So, so that is all about today's lecture. To sum up, what we have done is starting from the electric field and the magnetic field expressions for in terms of the retarded position. We wrote them in terms of the present position, and what we got that the expression in terms of the present position resembles very well with the well-known Coulomb's law and the Biot-Savart's law, except the relativistic effect, that is 1 minus b square upon c square divided by 1 minus b square upon c square sine square theta to the power 3 by 2 factor. And that factor plays a very important role in defining basically the electric field and the magnetic field. So please read it carefully and try to understand the behavior of the electric field and the magnetic field exhibited by a relativistic particle or a fast moving particle, and the changes, and it changes drastically when the velocity approaches the velocity of light. So that is all about. In the next lecture, we will talk about the radiation, the power radiated by a charged particle.